Okay, Shalom. Okay, how should I do that? Okay, it should work. Okay, Shalom. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Wakakadash. Okay, double honors to our apostles of Great Millstone, our elders of GMS. And salutation, peace, and blessings to the hopeful elect, faith-based Israelites of the children of Israel. Okay, people of Negro and Indian descent, Israelite foreigners as well, and Aqua, the women of our nation that's humbling themselves to learn this word and to escape the pollutions of this world. Okay. Oh man, here we go. Indian Removal Act. Uh, this devil was at work. The Indian Removal Act was signed into law on May 28, 1830. It's kind of wild how this coincides with what you call here. It's the Homestead Act. The Homestead Act. Okay, but let me go back to that. Indian Removal Act. Read just a little bit of this, all right? Again, 1830 by the United States President Andrew Jack. The law authorized the president to negotiate with southern, including mid-Atlantic Native American tribes, Israelites, let's say Israelites, for their removal to federal territory west of the Mississippi River in exchange for white settlements of their ancestral land. And it took a while to get them all out of there. Okay. Opposition here. Many has often wept over the fate of the abolition of this country, and philanthropy has not been visually assured of advising means to avert it, but its progress has never been arrested. And one by one have many powerful tribes disappeared from the earth. Man. So it took a while, like I said, for legal bills here. The Homestead Act. And we're going to read into the Homestead Act, but let me open me another tab here. Okay, get the scripture that I'm looking for. Habakkuk 2 and 6. Okay. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that laid himself with thick clay, that increases that which is not his. That's the key. Increaseth that which is you know. Now, if you got your eyes open, you'll see how this is has a major impact on what's going down, in these last days that we're living. The devils act like they own every goddamn thing. Don't drive through their suburban neighborhoods. You have the law behind you, pulling you over, which a lot of you going to end up losing your lives just for being in the area. A lot of these things been covered up through the years, you know. It's a bloody place we live in, man. It's a literal bloody place we live in. I'm gonna make this quick, you know, just bring you to light and allow you to bring more light to these wicked acts of these goddamn devils. Okay, but the Homestead Acts were several laws in the United States by which an applicant could acquire ownership of government land or the public domain, typically called a homestead, in all more than 160 million acres of public land, or nearly 10% of the total area of the United States, was given away free to 1.6 million homesteaders. Most of them homesteaders were west of the Mississippi River. um, and blacks were able to actually apply for this, but you know, obviously, clearly, we were always met with some opposition. You know, always met with it. You know, so there were very, very few blacks that were able to that were successful to receive land. But you know, regardless, uh, those of us that received land, we were still terrorized, and eventually end up losing it anyway. You know, but an extension of the Homestead Principle and Law, the Homestead Act were an expression of the free soil policy of Northerners who wanted individual farmers to own and operate their own farms, as opposed to Southern slave owners who wanted to buy up large tracts of land and use slave labor, thereby shutting out free white farmers. The first of the acts, the Homestead Act of 1862, opened up millions of acres. Any adult who have never taken up arms against the federal government of the United States could apply. Okay. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Increaseth that which is not his. That buildeth a town on blood. Good news that um let's see if I can find that. You know what? Numbers. Numbers the 35th chapter. Numbers the 35th chapter. Uh, number 35 and so these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations and all your dwellings. Whoso killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of the witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge. That he should, you know, what comes to mind when I read this is like how they use the military and you know, in being a member of the military and committing acts of murder for these corporations, these governments, these bankers, doesn't give you a license to be a goddamn. Ooh, that, suck it. Let me read this here. Ooh, this is fire right here. See if I can find it. But they listen to their government, you know. They listen to their government and like fools, like sheep, you know, and commit all kinds of wicked acts. It says here in Sirach 15 and 20, he hath commanded no man to do wickedly, neither hath he given any man license to sin. And that's what comes to mind. It's like the military, these members of the military that are murdering for these for the elites, these bankers, you know. So it says, moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death, and ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge. Like American militaries, how they sending them out to these other countries and totally, um, and totally destroy them, and occupy their lands, their countries. That he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So ye shall take, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherefore I dwell. For I, the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel. This place is about to get burnt to hell up, man. Right along with the beneficiaries of this homestead, this Homestead Act, which is, like I said, they're still benefiting, you know, from this to this day, you know, where I dwell, man. There are these Edomites that own uh, 50, 60, 100, 300, 500, 1,000 acres of land, you know, and look at you like, what are you doing around here? It's crazy, man. You know, but what do they say? Oh, I worked hard for my land. I worked hard for this. It's crazy. It's funny. It's actually literally a goddamn joke, you know. Um, um this went on to up to at least the 1990s, I'm pretty sure, in certain parts of the world. This homestead at, U.S. territories. I find it somewhere in here. Several additional laws were enacted in the latter half of the 19th and early 20th century. The Southern Homestead Act of 1860 sought to address land ownership inequalities in the South during Reconstruction. Oh, let me add this as well. You know that a lot of those slave masters that lost their slaves. Don't you know they receive reparations for that? They receive reparations for um, losing their slavery, to the government. Because that's ultimately what it was. They lost the slaves to the U.S. government. The government gained ownership, but they still receive reparations for it. It always looks out for its own. Always looks out for its own. Um, the Timber Culture Act of 1873 granted land to a claimant who was required to plant trees. The tract would be added to an existing homestead claim and had no residency requirements. But let me get where I was looking for though. Yeah, they didn't. Even though they still had differences with the South, they still, like I said, they still looked out for them. Even though they fought a goddamn war over the slaves, they still looked out for them. You know, because it says if they didn't pick up arms, they still looked out for them. This devil think he's slick. Um, it's a lot of land, man. That's a lot of land. 270 million acres. Uh, in practice, because I'm trying to see. I thought I had where it said that um a lot of the immigrants, and the immigrants were a lot of the Italians and a lot of the uh, Scottish and Irishmen, those Red Devils, you know, who were, a lot of them were Jakes, but at the same time they were, the Scottish and Irish, they pretty much hijacked this country. They pretty much hijacked the country, took it over, man. But a lot of the immigrants, that Scottish and Irishmen were, they were encouraged to apply for this homestead land grab. All right, settlers found land and filed their claims at the regional land office, usually in individual family units. Although other formed close knit communities, often the homestead consisted of several buildings or structures beside the main house. Homestead Act of 1862 gave rise later to a new phenomenon: large land rushes, such as the Oklahoma land runs of the 1880s and 1900s. Where's it at? End of homestead. It might be under this. The Federal Land Policy and Management Act of 1976 ended homesteading. By the time, this is a recent thing. By that time, so but really up in Alaska, it just ended in the 1990s. So there's a show on a reality show on cable